This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everybody. Mainly, this is class meant for to tell you what is developmental retardation or intellectual disability or mental retardation, and what are the etiologies or common causes, how to assess development in children, what are the treatment modalities available for intellectually disabled children, how to prevent this condition. Okay. So what is intellectual disability or mental retardation? Because previously they used to mention as mental retardation, but that term now replaced by intellectually disabled children. So what is intellectually disability or mental retardation? Anybody? What is mental retardation? It's a sub-average intelligence manifesting during especially early developmental period. We call as intellectual disability. Is anybody can mention what is the difference between developmental quotient and intellectual quotient? What is there any age criteria? Is there age criteria beyond which age we will assess IQ, and below which age we will developmental assessment? So intellectual assessment, they need something, some age limit, because they can't understand or interpret some all things. So we have to assess intelligence after 5 years only. Before that, we will depend on for development. Right? What criteria will write if the child age is 2 years, 3 years? Is the child is normal developmentally or not? How will you assess? By developmental history, that is developmental milestones, all 4 domains like gross motor, fine motor, social, language. We will take the history properly and we will assess the child in the development. That is called as developmental quotient. So before 5 years, we will do developmental quotient, and beyond 5 years, we will do IQ, that is intelligent quotients, to assess the child's development. So what is global developmental delay? Because most often you will come across this word whenever you are taking the case in daily OPDs and ward patients, or in your theory exams and also in practical exams. Very commonly encountered the word that GDD, we call as GDD, global developmental delay. What do you mean by this? It is defined as delay in acquiring milestones in 2 or more. That you have to remember. If only one domain, we won't call it as developmental delay, global developmental delay. Only we can take gross motor delay or fine motor delay or social milestones delay. But if the delay in more than two or more, then we call as global developmental delay or GDD. So more commonly it is seen in which type of individuals? Balamukesh, are you there? Balamukesh, GDD usually commonly associated in which condition? With CNS condition in pediatrics? GDD, global developmental delay.
Cerebral palsy.
Good. Cerebral palsy children, most of the cerebral palsy children will have GDD, that is global developmental delay, delay in 2 or more of the domains. Like domains means all of you know that in the developmental history will take gross motor domain, that is gross motor milestones, fine motor domain, speech domain, language, cognitive domains, social, personal activities and daily activities. So in those domains, if 2 or more are affected, we call it GDDs, commonly associated with cerebral palsy. So here is the clarification. As I told you, above 5 years of age, the term intellectual disability we will use instead of mental retardation. Mental retardation is the previous word. Now people are not using this, so you have to mention intellectual disability above 5 years. And prevalence, coming to the recent OPA, that is 9th edition, according to that, it's 2.5. It's between 2.5 and 5%. So what is intelligence? Dictionary meaning: inability to attain and understand some skills, not skills we call as indulgence disability if it is unable to. So attaining and understanding some skills we call as indulgence. Okay. So indulgence means all components should be there. Like what are the components of intellect? It's a person. They should perceive. The perception should be good, and they should have memory, both recent and past memory. That is recent remote memory. That's why in CNS case sheet performer will higher intellectual functions. First starting of the case sheet of CNS, whether it's a general medicine in pediatrics, you will mention as higher intellectual functions like memory. Recent and remote memory should be good. They should perceive, recognize, like recognition of mother. They should recognize themselves and their peer groups and the parents and other relations. So they should contain recognition, conceptualization, and convergent and divergent reasoning should be there. Verbal facility should be there, and motor competency. All are components of intellect. That's why intelligence quotient we can perform beyond 5 years of age. So coming to the formula, it's commonly asked a question in the practical exams. They will ask how will you calculate IQ. IQ will be calculated with this formula, that is mental age by chronological age into 100. It is gives the IQ. For developmental quotient, DQ, we call as DQ, will be developmental age by chronological age into 100. Chronological age means for 4 years child, that is the chronological age. But 4 years child may be having developmental delay, like is unable to sit without support. That equivalent to what age? Pavan, 4 years child is unable to sit without support. Developmental age is? Chahat is there. Chahat Gupta, roll number I think 14 at 12.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell? Got my scenario? 4 years child unable to sit without support. What is the developmental age? What is the chronological age?
Ma'am, developmental, ma'am, 8 months and less.
Less than 8 months. He is able to sit with support. He can't sit without support. So he is around 6 to 8 months, less than 8 months. So if you take
Yes.
6 to 8 months, maybe 7 months. Chronological age is 4 years. 4 years means how many months? Around
48 months, ma'am.
Oh, okay. So we have to mention as 7 by 48 into 100. That will be DQ, development quotient. So less than 5 years, we will calculate developmental quotient. So that's a developmental age and chronological age. So coming to the grades of mental retardation. According to the IQ performance, IQ score will divide into mild, moderate, severe, profound, and borderline. Borderline developmental retardation and intellectual disability. Intellectual disability is equal to 71 to 90 is borderline. Mild is 51 to 70, moderate 36 to 50. Usually this is also commonly asked question in community medicine, general medicine, and pediatrics. So just try to remember borderline is 71 to 90. So mild is 51 to 70, moderate 36 to 50, severe is 21 to 35, less than 20, equal to less than 20 is profound. We can't train them, but others we can train them. So 51 to 70, it's an old book, 50 to 70, but 51 to 70 individuals in this group can often live on their own with community support. That some support should be there. So these children will have retardation in sensory and motor areas, but the minimum. Moderate, they are challenged academically and often are not able to achieve academically, but they can go up to third grade level. So here also they need support. They can go for second. Next, severe mental retardation is 21 to 35. Less than 20 or equal to 20 is profound retardation. In this category, they can often master the most basic skills of living, such as cleaning and dressing themselves. That is, we have to train them depending on the IQ. At least they have to do their work themselves, and often recognized early in life with poor motor development. The developmental delay will be there since early age, and they can't speech and communication skills also very poor in this severely. Less than 20, profound mental retardation can now often develop basic communication and self-care skills. Most individuals with profound mental retardation have identifiable causes for their condition, like they may be syndromic causes. Name some syndromes where severe profound mental retardation will be there. Anybody? Conditions, chromosomal abnormalities or syndromes where mental retardation is a component, one of the feature. Down syndrome, okay, but they are moderate to severe mental retardation. Usually most of them will be having moderate, sometimes maybe severe, moderate to severe. Very severe mental retardation will be there, usually inherited problem. Down's is autosomal problem, but one more condition. Anybody? What are the syndromes associated with mental retardation? Down syndrome is correct. Anything else?
Fragile X syndrome.
Good. Fragile X syndrome, inherited condition X. Fragile X syndrome more common in males than females. Anything else? Any other syndromes? Okay, coming to the prevalence, as I told you, it's between 2.5 to 5%. In general, for IQ less than 70 is 2 to 3% of the children may have less than 70% IQ, and less than 50% of IQ is very rare, that is 0.4%. Coming to the etiologies, these are the chromosomal disorders like trisomy 21. Trisomy 21 means? What is trisomy 21? Trisomy 21. Trisomy 21? Just now, she not
Down.
Trisomy 18. Trisomy 18?
Edward
syndrome. And trisomy 13 and Klinefelter syndromes. These are the chromosomal syndromes associated with mental retardation, and genetic syndromes like Fragile X syndrome, Prader-Willi syndrome, Prader-Willi associated with obesity and mental retardation will be there. Tuberous sclerosis. What is the triad of tuberous sclerosis? Triad. Okay, I will tell you that. If anybody can answer, triad of tuberous sclerosis is a PG entrance bit. Inborn errors of metabolism like phenylketonuria, Tay-Sachs disease, mucopolysaccharidosis, galactosemia, organoacidemias. Any treatable cause for mental retardation is there? Treatable cause, preventable actually. Initial, first we can prevent and also we can treat. Be loud and clear.
Hypothyroid.
Thyroid deficiency. One more condition. One is congenital hypothyroidism. Be specific. Congenital hypothyroidism.
Folic acid deficiency.
Okay, folic acid deficiency. Anything else? Most often we can decrease the incidence, and also we can decrease. Treatment may not be, but we can prevent by preventing intrauterine infections, antenatal infection to the mother. But congenital hypothyroidism, we can prevent and also we can treat if you diagnose early in neonatal life. So can anyone mention what is the syndrome? Are you able to see the features? There is a low set ears, a low set posterior hair line. Posterior hair line is there up to this, and you can see wide webbed neck, widened neck, extra skin webbing. Huh? Be loud. Somebody is telling something I am unable to hear. Be clear. Wide set nipples. This is most common.
Turner syndrome.
Turner syndrome. At birth they may have edema over the feet and hands also sometimes. Swollen hands and swollen feet, and they are wide, especially wide and webbed neck. Wide spaced nipples means always low hairline. Short, usually there will be short stature and other features will be there. So always think about Turner syndrome. Here are the features. depressed nasal bridge, widen more for the large forehead. Here you can see epicanthal folds and iris.
Down syndrome.
Low set ears, and usually tongue will be protruded out. Down syndrome. Here also mental retardation will be there. I given the diagnosis, but here you can see short stature with coarse features. Here also tongue will be protruded out. But in Down syndrome, it's due to microsteum, small mouth. Here it is due to large tongue. So facial features like flat nasal bridge, thick lips, and short torso. Hearing loss also will be there. Abnormal bone sizes, and developmental delay and mental. Almost this Down syndrome, congenital hypothyroidism, and MPS. If you see the baby less than 1 year, they look like almost similar only. But clinically, have to differentiate with the organomegaly will be there in aprosplenomegaly will be there in mucopolysaccharidosis, and skin will be coarse. In congenital hypothyroidism also will be there, but it takes time. But in mucopolysaccharidosis also it's coarse. But main epicanthal folds will not be there, but depressed nasal bridge may be, flat faces and flat occiput may be there in both conditions. And usually there will be associated heart disease and respiratory issues, nasal block, and all those things will be there. So clinically, aprosplenomegaly is there, means most likely it's a mucopolysaccharidosis. No aprosplenomegaly, neonatal period, there is a prolonged jaundice, delayed passage of meconium. You have to think about congenital hypothyroidism. First of all, rule out congenital hypothyroidism because easily diagnosed with if you take just TSH, if possible T3, T4, free T3, T4, we can diagnose and we can exclude also. If it is there, we can treat. If it is not there, we can exclude. Then only we can go for the other investigations. Here in MPS, we can go for the bone survey also, X-rays of the hand and this spine also we can take. Hand X-ray, what are the features will be there in radiology? Radiological features of MPS, previous class only I dealt. Simple, before going for NGM essays, MPS before costly NGM essays. So you can go with X-ray, hand and X-ray spine. We can diagnose. What are the features, radiological features? Anybody?
Transposition of keratosis.
Radiological features in mucopolysaccharidosis is X-ray hand X-ray. Bullet-shaped metacarpals, I told you, I think. Bullet-shaped metacarpals and beaking, anterior beaking of vertebrae, oar-shaped ribs. All other radiological features in MPS, mucopolysaccharidosis. Actually, it's not MPS, child. Can you diagnose large ears with mental retardation? Fragile X syndrome. Broad forehead, elongated face, large prominent ears, strabismus, high arched palate, extensible joints, and pectus excavatum. Pectus carinatum is a pigeon chest. Pectus excavatum is depression. It will be like indentation of the chest will be there. And associated heart problem like mitral valve prolapse may be there. And muscle tone will be decreased, and enlarged testes and flat feet, seizures. Most of them may be associated with 10% of the cases, they may be seizures also. So mental retardation, seizures, and these children are more for carcinomas and malignancies also. Can you name these skin lesions? Anybody? Clinical photo. There are lesions over the nasal bridge and butterfly area. These are what do you call this skin lesions? Usually seen in pubertal age only. Adenoma sebaceum. It mimics like acne, but it's not acne. These are adenoma sebaceum lesions observed in case of which condition? Tuberous sclerosis. Even though it's a neurocutaneous syndrome, usually associated with mental retardation, regression. Actually associated with regression of milestone. So triad of tuberous sclerosis is mental retardation, adenoma sebaceum, and one more thing. What is that?
Epilepsy.
Seizures, mental retardation, seizures, and adenomyosis are the stride of tuberous sclerosis. These are the skin lesions. These are the skin lesions. In Maximus view, this is the skin lesion. What do you call this?
Shagreen patches, ma'am.
Good. Green patches. And what is this? Usually seen in
Ungual
adult
fibrosis.
subungual fibrosis, fibromas, we call it subungual fibromas. These are features of tuberous sclerosis, usually associated with mental retardation. Usually, these children will be normal at birth and attain milestones up to some age, like 1 year, 2 years, like that. Then they develop seizures, multiple type of seizures. Like initially they may have only GTCS, then they may have myoclonic jerks, myoclonic seizures, refractory seizures. They won't subside with antiepileptic drugs also. And regression of milestones by 1.5 year, whatever milestone they attained, like the child is able to run or able to walk without support, gradually lost these milestones. Like now we can't run, we can't walk without support, he can't stand without support. Like that, slowly regresses each and every milestone what he attained. That's why called as neurodegenerative or neuroregressive syndrome. It's a neuroregressive syndrome. Next, what are the other etiological factors? Those are genetic. Other than genetic causes, there are some congenital infections which can cause mental retardation. That's why you should know, if you prevent these infections to the antenatal mothers, transmission to the fetus will be reduced and we can prevent the mental retardation some extent, like HIV infection, toxoplasmosis, rubella. Rubella we can go through the rubella vaccine campaigns to all adults and girls. We can reduce the incidence of rubella to the antenatal mothers, and we can reduce CMV, cytomegalovirus infection, by screening blood, all blood before transfusion, and other STDs like syphilis and herpes simplex virus infection also taken by safe sexual practices. They can avoid this infection to the antenatal mothers. So these are the infections which can cause mental retardation in children. So antenatal care, good care is needed. And perinatal causes like hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy after perinatal asphyxia. Can you prevent this HIE? Can you prevent HIE, hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy? Why nobody is answering? Can you prevent or not?
Yes, ma'am,
Yes,
by
ma'am.
timely research.
How can you prevent? If you prevent perinatal asphyxia, like taking good antenatal care and intranatal care, avoiding prolonged labor, difficult labor, and immediately after birth, if you do resuscitation within 30 seconds, called as golden minute. If you take the newborn baby care within first 1 minute, that is ideally first 30 seconds, if you establish respiration, so we can prevent. If by mistake still baby had perinatal asphyxia, we can go for therapeutic hypothermia and you can prevent the sequelae due to HAE. Okay. What is IVH? Intraventricular hemorrhage. This is also more common in premature babies. So avoiding premature deliveries and taking antenatal care and avoiding teenage pregnancies in turn decreases the preterm deliveries, preterm babies, and antenatal steroids. If you give proper care to the preterm babies, then we can prevent some, and avoiding boluses, rapid boluses in premature baby. Also excessive handling of premature baby, unnecessary handling of premature baby, all can prevent intraventricular hemorrhage and in turn can prevent the mental retardation. And periventricular leukomalacia, fetal alcohol syndrome, avoiding alcohol and other drug intake during antenatal period also prevents the mental retardation. Like some people may even take cocaine. All those fetal alcohol syndrome and cocaine intake antenatally by the mother can lead to mental retardation. Coming to the postnatal causes, postnatally especially trauma. So accidental trauma to the child. So proper care is needed. So avoiding trauma and pyogenic meningitis. So this also can be prevented by proper hygienic practices and avoiding crowding, overcrowding, and taking vaccination. So these can avoid the meningitis. So in turn, post-meningitic sequelae and mental retardation we can avoid. Hypoglycemia, immediately taken care, it won't lead to any sequelae, but an undiagnosed frequent hypoglycemic episodes can lead to mental retardation. Kernicterus, this is also early diagnosis and early treatment before entering the blood-brain barrier. So hyperbilirubinemia, we can treat and prevent kernicterus and in turn mental retardation in the long term. Thrombosis of cerebral vessels, it may be due to dehydration, hyperviscosity, or maybe due to deficiency of anticoagulants like protein S and protein C deficiencies can lead to thrombosis of cerebral vessels. Iodine deficiency postnatally and in anemic iodine deficiency areas, they can lead to anemic goiter and cretinism. So supplementation with iodine can be prevented. These are the most of the postnatal causes and the perinatal causes we can avoid, even antenatal causes, but genetic only, by genetic counseling only we can avoid. Developmental defects like microcephaly, craniostenostosis, porencephaly, cerebral migration defects, these also can associate with mental retardation. Next, coming to the predisposing factors. So family history, especially socioeconomic status, is very, very important. Their low socioeconomic status, which can lead to inadequate nutrition. So inadequate nutrition, severe acute malnutrition, severe protein energy malnutrition. If the onset is less than 2 years, because maximum brain development will be taking place by 2 years of age. Almost 95 to 98% of the brain develops finished by 2 years of age. From starting from the in utero life. So that's why good nutrition is important, not only to the baby, even to the antenatal mothers. So intrauterine growth retardation also can lead to mental retardation. So we have to prevent intrauterine growth retardation by taking care, adequate antenatal care to the mother and adequate nutrition to the antenatal mother. So inadequate nutrition will lead to mental retardation. It is happened before first 1000 days. Actually we call as from the time of conception to the first 2 years, we call as first 1000 days of life is very, very important. So antenatal care of the mother is also very, very important. Poor antenatal and obstetric care, they're not diagnosed maternal malnutrition and maternal anemia and maternal pH, that is pregnancy-induced hypertension, can lead to decreased plasma circulation and leads to intrauterine growth retardation, will have long-term effect for the developing brain. Lack of immunization, routine immunization like BCG, OPV, and hepatitis B at birth, and other vaccines at 6 weeks like Hib vaccine, which prevents the meningitis, especially from 2 months to 3 years. Most common organism to cause meningitis is the H. influenza B. And if possible, they can take the pneumococcal vaccine. In some states that already started. So lack of immunization coverage, and especially for adolescent mothers, lack of rubella vaccine. Now it is universal, sir. Everybody can take MR vaccine, measles and rubella combination vaccine, or MMR also they can take, measles, mumps, rubella. Not only mental retardation, rubella vaccine also prevents other conditions also. What are those? It can prevent congenital heart disease like pulmonary stenosis and PVA, and also prevents the congenital blindness by preventing congenital cataract, and prevents the congenital deafness, that sensory nodal deafness. If you give simple single shot of rubella vaccine or measles rubella vaccine or MMR vaccine, very less costly, less than 100 rupees only. Delayed and immoderate treatment of infections. Immediate and timely treatment is needed for any infections. Delayed, it can lead to sepsis and septicemia and can affect the brain and leads to mental retardation. Unsatisfactory environmental stimulus, especially in low socioeconomic status, they will go for the daily wages, and unsatisfactory environmental stimulus to the baby will be their infants. So they, comparing to the higher socioeconomic status children, these children belongs to low socioeconomic status children will have less stimulus, environmental stimulus, so they will develop late, developmental delay will be there. Next, coming to the important predisposing factor is the low birth weight. Small for gestational age babies are more prone for mental retardation than compared to appropriate for gestational age babies. Even the preterm baby, if you take in preterm baby, the preterm baby is SGA and the preterm baby is AZA. SGA babies will have more mental retardation. That is small for gestational age babies. That means intrauterine growth retardation will be there in these babies. So as I told you, first 1000 days of life is very, very important starting from the time of conception. Preterms are more prone for intraventricular hemorrhage, anoxia, and infections. So low birth weight itself is a risk factor, and prematurity is also a risk factor. And preterm SGA babies are the more prone for more risk. Other predisposing factors like advanced maternal age, as all of you know, Down syndrome is more common if the maternal age is more than 35 years of age. And birth trauma during delivery process, there are more chances of birth trauma in elderly primary gravida. So pelvic CPD, that is cephalopelvic disproportion, will be more common, and also these elderly mothers will have more chances of PAH, hypertension, and diabetes mellitus associated complications. So these babies are more prone for perinatal asphyxia and HAE and mental retardation. So that's important. Advanced maternal age. Very young is also risky, and elderly mother is also very young, means teenage pregnancies, premature deliveries, and low birth weight babies are more common. That also leads to mental retardation. And consanguinity. So there is increased chance of genetically transmitted mental handicaps. So better to avoid consanguineous marriage. Next, come to the clinical features. What are the clinical features? Usually these intellectually disabled babies will have. So better to use the intellectual disability than mental retardation. Usually recent books it's not there. So these babies may present with hyperactivity. So distractibility, poor memory, and disturbed sleep. Usually early months of life, mother will complain that the child will be having excessive inconsolable cry and not sleeping. For actually newborns will sleep for around 18 to 20 hours per day. So less sleeping and irritable and excessive inconsolable cry is a early marker of cerebral palsy or mental developmental intellectual disability. And impulsiveness, they can't concentrate in one thing. They will be very impulsive also. And other associated features of intellectual disability are epilepsy, like in tuberous sclerosis or cerebral palsy. Usually they will have epilepsy. Visual disturbances like congenital cataracts, or maybe other optic atrophies and all will be there. So visual disturbances are more common. Retinitis pigmentosa, all those. And hearing problems, sensory neural hearing defects will be more common, especially associated with congenital infections and kernicterus. Both conditions, they will have hearing problem and mental retardation. Speech abnormalities, defect, unable to learn the speech. Coming to the diagnosis, how will you diagnose these children? So history is very, very important. Proper history taking is very, very important. You have to ask from the antenatal history, what happened, what are the maternal risk factors during natal period, what are the risk factors postnatal, what happened, what are the developmental milestones the child achieved. All those history you should document properly. So history taking will give clues. Did it say developmental delay or developmental regression? Already attained milestones are regressed. So that we can diagnose like that. Complete physical examination is very, very important. Is it associated with a hypotonia or hypertonia? Fundus examination, like in case of Tay-Sachs disease, there will be cherry red spot. So fundus examination is very, very important. Developmental assessment, developmental quotient we can calculate. If the child is less than 5 years, more than 5 years, we can calculate IQ, intelligent quotient. And rule out inborn errors of metabolism. In the history itself, you take early onset of persistent vomitings, seizures without a fever. The child is not having any fever, but there are repeated episodes of seizures and vomiting, sometimes hypoglycemic attacks, and on examination aprospleneomegaly. And if you do ABG, there will be actic acidosis. These features usually suggestive of, and usually there will be history of consanguineous marriage. Most of the IEMs are inherited autosomal recessive. So we have to take proper history. Then only we can go for the investigations. Thyroid profile is in first and foremost. Actually, every newborn baby should be screened for congenital hypothyroidism after 3rd day of life. Because initially, because TSH is a stress factor like Whenever there is stress, there are more chances of newborn delivery process is stress. So acute phase reactant like that, TSS may be raised falsely. That's why how to do it after 72 hours of life. And torch screening, that is for intrauterine infections. Chromosomal analysis, if you suspect Down syndrome or Edwards syndrome or Turner syndrome or Fragile X syndrome, you can go for the chromosomal analysis. Not for all children with mental retardation. If you take proper history and general examination and developmental assessment and fundus examination, these we can do it the bedside only. And thyroid profile is routinely we can do, that is cheap and treatable condition. So thyroid profile, up to this for all children we can go. If you suspect antenatal intrauterine infections, then only we'll go for the torch screening. If you suspect chromosomal analysis by dysmorphic features, if you think this is the most probably chromosomal anomaly, then only we have to go for the chromosomal analysis. If you think there is a tuberous sclerosis or some neuronal migration defects, brain developmental defects, then only go for the neuroimaging like CT brain or MRI brain. So you have to take proper history and examination. Don't go for a battery of investigation to a child. You should not order all investigations like this: thyroid profile screen, torch screening, chromosomal analysis, CT or MRI brain. So you should have differential diagnosis. Accordingly, only you have to go for the investigations one by one. So coming to the principles of development, sometimes they will ask you for 4 marks question, and orals also they will ask you what are the principles of development whenever you get a case of cerebral palsy or global developmental delay. So these are the principles. You should remember development is always in cephalocaudal proportion from head head to toe only it comes, cephalocaudal direction only. That means upper body first develops, then only lower, like upper body muscles like neck. That's when neck control or head control comes first. Then chest, arms develop before lower body muscles. Then they can walk like that. And development is always in order. One skill will develop, then only proceed to another specific sequence. So sequence for every individual will be similar, but sometimes they may skip one milestone in case of developmentally delayed children and cerebral palsy, but sequence will be similar. And that means like example, some ex child got sitting without support first, then neck holding. That won't happen. So first neck holding, head control comes first, then only is able to sit with support, then only will able to sit without support. Nobody will sit directly without support. First they will learn how to sit with support, then only. That's like they will follow a order, one sequence, then only another milestone develops. And always development proceeds from large to small muscles. Like control over large muscles precedes the control over small muscles. Like trunk muscle control will occurs, then only hand fine movements occurs. These are the rules, principles or rules of development. And always these primitive reflexes like Moro's, rooting, sucking should lost, then only they will develop voluntary movements. And asymmetric tonic neck reflex, that's why Moro's will disappear after 4 months of age. Asymmetric tonic reflex disappears 4 to 5 months of age, then only they can turn over. So they should be lost. So if the primitive reflexes are persisting, that means child won't develop these milestones. That's why the early signs of cerebral palsy are persistence of primitive reflexes. So primitive reflexes need to be lost before voluntary movement can be achieved. So difference in the rate at which milestones are achieved maybe varies. One stone may be skipped, but the sequence acquiring milestone is constant. So this always remember, sequence is always constant. Sometimes some people may skip some milestones, but some may develop, like by 7th month somebody can sit without support. Some baby may sit without support at around 10 months. Both are normal, but only sequence will be same. So coming to the just for revision sake, what are the milestones they will attain? The first 2 years of milestones: gross motor like head steady in sitting, 2 months pull to sit, no head lag by 3 months, head together in midline, hands together in midline 3 months. Asymmetrical tonic neck reflex should go by around 4 to 5 months. Then only they can roll over. Sits without support, this with support. Sits, but the range will be there. It's not exactly Sits with support around 6 to 7 months, without support by 8 to 10 months. Rolls back to stomach 6.5 months. Walks alone, it's around 12 to 13 months. Like the range will be there, you can remember the range. And coming to the fine motor, at least 5 to 6 important milestones in each domain you should remember. What are the normal A's and range you can remember, it's there in your UPK textbook of pediatrics. Like, but you should remember what are the fine motor, at least reaches for opposite. Palmar grasp should also primitive reflex should lose by 4 months of age. Transferring the object from one hand to one, it will be around 5 to 6 months of age. And pinch grasp will be immature. Usually some examiners will be asking when did they develop immature pincer grasp, around 7 to 8 months, but mature pincer grasp around 9 to 11 months. And scribbling by 13 months, in tower of 2 cubes 15 months, and tower of 6 cubes 22 months. This usually by repeated reading, or otherwise if you observe some child of your relative or your cousins, then only can remember. So just remember the main important milestones. If you are unable to remember all, means at least main, like in gross motor you have to remember when the head control comes, when the child is able to sit without support, when the child is able to stand without support, when the child can walk alone without any support, when the child will runs, and when the child is able to jump, hopping and skipping. Like that you can remember for the gross motor. For fine motor, usually palmar grasp, when it appears and it disappears, and when the child can transfer the object from one hand to one other hand, pincer grasp and scribbling, and tower of 2 cubes and tower of 6 cubes. That is more than enough in fine motor milestones. So if you can remember, you can remember like when the child is able to draw a circle, triangle, square, plus mark, and tilted plus or cross mark, all those things for assessment of development. So developmental assessment, we can motor activity, gross motor and fine motor, language, personal, social behavior, all those domains we have to assess the development. What are the scales available for assessing this development? There are different scales, like DASI kit is a Indian kit, that is Denver Developmental Assessment Scale to DASI. This is the Denver Developmental Assessment Scale for Indian infants. Developmental assessment scale for Indian infants. And Trivandrum Developmental Screening Chart, this is also Indian charts. So these two, DASI and Patak scale and Trivandrum Developmental Screening Chart, these all three are Indian scales. This you can observe, usually most of the vaccination or immunization cards also will have this developmental card, that is Trivandrum Developmental Screening Chart. It's very easy. Here this blue bars are range of age by which a child can attain, like from child may attain social smile from 2 to 3 weeks to up to 3.5 months. These are in months. These numbers are in months. Like this. So if any baby comes like around, like for example 3 months old baby came, then you can take one scale longitudinally here, can put. So what are completed here, the child should attain, but all these are, there is a range beyond this also the baby can attain. Like by 4 months if the baby comes, you can have scale here. So these should be attained by 4 months must. So what are their? Social smile and eyes following pencil or pen. So if it is not there, means we have to suspect early development delay, maybe the early marker of cerebral palsy or intellectual disability, like this. So we have to put the scale here, then only what are the milestones here, left side the child should attain. Otherwise we can reassure the mother that there is this much range is there. The baby is not rolling over from back to stomach by around 7 months. If the mother comes, there is a chance. If the other milestones baby attain, like recognition of mother, attain social smile, neck holding, holds head steadily, then no need to worry. But there is a delay in these milestones, and also child is not able to roll over from back to stomach, then you have to think the developmental delay, like that. This is the chart, very easy, and we can carry also, and the OPDs and everywhere you should have this Trivandrum Developmental Screening Chart. So coming to the what are the treatment modalities, mainly multidisciplinary. Pediatrician should be there, psychiatrist should be there, this occupational therapist should be there, language therapist should be there, all child psychologist, It's a multidisciplinary approach, especially behavioral management, behavioral therapy, environmental supervision, and environmental stimulus. Proper environmental stimulus should be there for the child to develop different milestones. And maximize mainly speech, language, cognitive, and psychomotor, and social, self-care, occupational skills. Programs should be concentrated towards this. And especially early intervention programs, like depending upon whether it's a global developmental delay or only one domain is affected, only gross motor or fine motor language. So global developmental delay children, if less than 3 years, we should start early intervention programs with mental, especially developmental intellectual disability. And mainly we have to teach the child for these adaptive skills. Like mainly we have to, the child should take care of him or herself. So eating, dressing, toileting, and these skills we should concentrate. Physiotherapist and occupational therapist is a must in the team. So practice self-care skills mainly. And we have to counsel the parents also. They will be depressed, so we have to counsel them. If you train the child, can maintain himself or herself. And if there is associated genetic syndromes, we have to go after the genetic counseling and proper antenatal care. So how to prevent? So mainly genetic counseling and antenatal care. If the mother is more than 35 years, Down syndrome screening like triple test, quadruple test, these are there, and vaccination with rubella is a must. If not taken before pregnancy, at least there should be 3 months gap between the pregnancy and vaccination. So mother should not taken means for next time at least she should be offered the rubella vaccine. And campaigning for MR vaccine or rubella vaccine to all adults and girls is a must to prevent the congenital rubella syndrome and associated mental retardation and other complications. Good antenatal care, like taking care of the antenatal mother's nutrition, anemia, diagnosing and treating anemia, antenatal anemias, and other associated medical conditions like pregnancy-induced hypertension, diabetes mellitus, and intrauterine infections. Early diagnosis of antenatal infections and treatment will prevent the mental retardation. And natal care, like proper decision to assess the pelvic floor and is there any suprapelvic disproportion is there or not. If there is CPD, suprapelvic disproportion, obstetrician should opt for the cesarean section, or if there is any prolonged labor, also they have to assist or go for cesarean section to prevent perinatal asphyxia. And immediately, and every delivery should be attended by pediatrician or trained person who can take care of newborn immediately after birth if needed for neonatal resuscitation. So neonatal resuscitation trained person should be there for each and every delivery. We can't predict that baby will go for asphyxia or perinatal asphyxia and apnea at birth. So every delivery, whether it's normal delivery or assisted delivery or cesarean section, pediatrician or trained person should be there. And immediate postnatal care, there is asphyxia, giving therapeutic hypothermia or minimal intervention care, proper take care of neonatal seizures, neonatal hyperbilirubinemia, and meningitis, and trauma, avoiding trauma postnatally. All those, taking care of good nutrition from starting from the time of conception to first 2 years of life is very, very important to prevent mental retardation. So these proper care is taken by genetic counseling and screening of all elderly mothers for Down syndrome and vaccination of adults and girls with rubella vaccine and good antenatal, natal and postnatal care. We can reduce the incidence of mental retardation. Okay. Any doubts are there? Anybody having any doubts regarding intellectual disability or mental retardation? Causes, how to assess development, how to treat and how to prevent Is there any doubts? Thank you. Then if there are no doubts, I will end the meeting here. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So Pawan, just send the topics if after discussing with your friends. What are the topics, whether theory or practicals? just give me by this evening. So by Saturday we will prepare the rosters. Thank you all.
Thank you.
This conference will now be recorded.